Joe.
Yeah.
These are big boy words.
Okay, it says we're live on air, so I'm going to assume that it's correct. Hi, everybody. This is Liberative, Sean Cron, and I'm here on my channel for the second video I had to put out because I'm riled up about the goddamn FBI. With me today is Jay Fry. Say hi, Jay.
Hi, Jay.
There you go.
See what I did there?
I do. That's good for you. And Clifford the Big Red Doggy.
Hi-oh. I can't follow that up. J-Fi just stole the thunder. I mean, I can't follow that up.
He is a comic genius of our time. He really is.
He truly is.
So let's talk about the Federal Bureau of Investigations.
Oh boy.
And how they're at the center of everything going wrong in American politics right now.
Now, Big Red, I don't know how much you want to get into this, using a fake name, but I think Sean and I are pretty safe with our real names out there.
They might get on to you, but we're perfectly safe.
There's only 13 guys in the entire country named Nicholas Cruz with that spelling. The whole fucking country.
How many of them actually lived in Florida? That's 6. The big killer.
6.
6
so
of
half of them are in Florida.
Yes.
Well, there's got to be at least 2 or 3 here in Arizona.
Well, would you know
1
though?
or 2 in Texas.
Would you know though by the like my little brother? He's a Justin, so it's not like a huge deal. But he is an E, not an I, so it kind of does make him on the more unique side of Justin. But would you really know the state by a YouTube channel? Just a YouTube?
No, but I'm sure that they could track it by IP.
No, yeah, I'm sure Google would give the information. I'm sure Google would give the information up.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. Unless he's using a VPN, that'd be the only way. But judging by some of the photos I've seen of this guy, he didn't look like the brightest crayon in the box. So
no, he's rather I don't even know what the term for it is, but
autistic?
No, because that doesn't necessarily have any physical characteristics. But there's like a picture of these old set of twins where their heads like really big and their ears are really big, and all the ridges of their skull are all like overly exaggerated. This kid's the same way.
How far apart are his eyes? I didn't even notice that.
He's got an extra chromosome somewhere in there.
Yeah. At least half of one.
Like he's like
a mother drink.
XYY or something.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's prenatal alcohol or.
I want to look at a picture of this guy and see what it is. If his eyes are, his eyes are pretty far apart. You know what he looks like? He looks
Mad Stream Girl.
Well, actually, I was gonna say he looks like a fucking dark elf with white skin from Elder Scrolls.
Easy with that white skin, buddy.
I know. Lighter skin. How about that?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'm just saying. These
light skin. Explain this is the white supremacist angle.
Hey, I'm just gonna say it's probably been Photoshopped. Let's just say that lightened up. Like Sean. Like Sean White's stuff.
To this day, one of my favorite things ever is the clip from Facepalm Reality where he's got the Sean King joining the Young Turks, and it's a wide shot so you can see that the Young Turks, Chunk and Anna have lights pouring down on them so they can see, and then Sean King's got a black light on him. Fucking, that's just great.
So anyway, let's discuss the FBI and their stupidity.
Well, okay, so let's run down the couple of things that they're in the news for. Obviously, we've got the shooting thing in Florida where the FBI was given every ounce of information they've ever asked for in the See Something, Say Something campaign, and then they drop the ball catastrophically. Then you have this kid who's showing up in all the talking head shows, talking gun control, who is absolutely rehearsed, and the son of an ex-FBI agent.
Yep.
Okay. So that's now, two around just that event.
Is that Hogg? Or
Yeah, I think that's Hog. I think that's his name is Hog.
because they just sent out. Did you see like the recent video of like the 49 or 59 seconds of Hog with getting fed information by the by the CNN?
Yeah, where he's basically saying, "Cut. I need to do that take again." That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's like, "Oh, hang on a second, we're going to redo that," and then rehearses the line and then puts it out for consumption. Yeah, that kid is rehearsed as fuck.
And way too other many kids out there smiling while talking about it. Whoops.
That was the jam. Now, is that your girl calling or something?
No, it was a tweet.
All right. So, well, we got the Florida stuff, and then the FBI is also in the center of this Trump Russia allegation bullshit. You got the former FBI director doing as the special counsel that's turned up evidence that looks like the FBI itself was covering for Hillary, not only for her server nonsense, but also trying to rig the election for her.
2 of those bots followed me. 2 of the Russian bots. I'm down to. I'm down.
I don't
like,
know if I'd brag about
it might have
Jay,
been
but
more.
it's funny.
It might have been more because I'm down like 8 followers. So I'm like, damn it, 13. That's really killing my number. But yeah, Tennessee GOP and a couple others were ones I followed. Once I retweeted constantly because I found them to be accurate. So I don't know how them being in Russia equals collusion, but me retweeting it because I fucking agreed with it isn't collusion.
Well, I think there's only one answer. You're a dirty, filthy commie. So, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Are they commie though, or are they just the most libertarian of libertarians at this point?
I think I think Putin's got some authoritarian. I mean, it's
Putin's good, definitely an authoritarian.
yeah. I mean, I think there's a little bit of an iron fist going on. I'm pretty sure there's some secret police stuff going on. I wouldn't put it past him. On top of that, I mean, you know, but oh well.
Well, I'm an anarchist until I get voted into authority. Then I turn authoritarian. Like, I'm fine with authority if I'm the author. Is that how that works?
This is why you will
Maybe
never
it's a
be a
different
dungeon
word.
master, Jay.
Yeah, that.
Never say never.
Actually, I'd be a pretty good one. I'd. Oh man. First off, everybody gets endless, bottomless bags. I fucking hate carrying around my backpack everywhere. But yeah, so the FBI is it's really. Can you think of a time where they've been any more shady in recent memory? Like, I'm talking like the last 40 years.
In the last
Like,
40
ATF
years,
is
no.
always-
Well, I mean, the
The
FBI
ATF
has
has
always
always
been
been-
shady.
No, you always look at the FBI and you just basically kind of laugh them off as like the press conference of the federal gun carrying crowd, and it's been the ATF who's always screwing everything up. Like, oh yeah, let's fire some rounds at Ruby Ridge. Oh yeah, let's fire some rounds in Waco, Texas. But
Well, what agency apprehended Alien Gonzalez in Miami?
wouldn't that have been ICE?
I don't think so. Well, it wasn't ICE.
I
at
think
the
it was
time.
the FBI, actually.
Yeah,
I think
you
it
know
was
what?
the
They might
FBI.
have been FBI jackets. Damn, I used to have that poster. It was for the MP5 people. I almost swear to you.
Uh huh.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So Trump tweets on Saturday something about how the FBI dropped the ball on the shooting thing, but it was because the resources were too busy, proving these 13 Russian bot collusion nonsense, trying to wrap him up in it, as a political motive. And then I saw a lot of blowback from the media on that tweet today. Like, they were losing their minds over it. Like, it was
Border Patrol.
Somehow not true. It was Border Patrol?
It was Border Patrol.
Okay.
I'm looking at the infamous picture with the MP5 and
It's
this
Border
weird-
Patrol.
this weird not cross draw holes. Clifford, you got to see this picture, man. It's so weird looking. But yeah, it's the Border Patrol
Okay.
in their olive drab.
Yeah. Before they were ICE.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Because the ICE designation was what, an Obama thing or a late Bush thing?
I don't know.
Because it was after they were tossed into the Homeland Security bucket. So it was definitely post Clinton.
Let's check.
I just got blocked by somebody. That's funny. Sorry.
I've been being blocked by people I didn't even know.
I got blocked on by an anti-gunner. It was kind of funny.
Technically early Bush, March 1st to 2003.
Really? Okay. So that was just after it was tossed in the Homeland Security Department of Homeland Security bucket.
I put an ICE founding, and one of the questions is, who discovered the ICE? Who discovered the ICE?
The ICE. Like,
Yeah, I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
like Uruk, the cave guy who wandered too far up the mountain, sort of discovered the ICE.
Charles St. Ang Thlorer was a student of blah, 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 1815, dry ice. Oh, dry ice. French inventor, dry ice. Apparently that is the ice.
Okay.
Is ice wet?
So the question I want to pose to both of you is, does the FBI serve any purpose in the modern day running of this country? Do they serve any good, or are they just completely inept and just another layer of federal authority, gun-toting authority that can be used to oppress people?
Oh, I think they served a purpose back in the day, but as far as now, it's a tough call.
I mean, if you think about it, what the FBI really does is interstate cooperation. It heads interstate cooperation between disparate entities, and it investigates anything that happens on federal grounds. So is that strictly needed could they just have the FBI labs and things be sent into them, or man the FBI database so that it can be linked to other instances? Do you
I think it does some good, but I've got a couple of cop buddies of mine here in the Valley that they work with them on and off, but a lot of the times, especially when in the function of a current investigation, the FBI comes in and steps on toes, tries to run things that don't necessarily need to be run from a federal level.
Right. They want to swing their dicks around and show who's boss. So that's what they do.
Yeah, but technically they're never the boss on a crime
No, but they
scene
like to think
that.
they do. They are.
Right. No, and they do have the better labs, and they are more well connected. They're certainly better funded than a lot of local PDs and sheriffs and whatnot. Probably not our sheriff because it's Maricopa County, but yeah.
Actually, Sean, you would be surprised to learn that majority of law enforcement agencies actually outsource their lab work, mainly because they can't handle the caseload. A large majority of it's actually outsourced to Target.
Target, the French store?
Yeah.
That's where I get my guilt.
You know what's funny is that Target store security is like, no joke, the closest thing you can be to a cop without actually being a cop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of the stuff for case stuff, I found this very interesting. I found this little tidbit of info, is that a lot of the casework and everything else is like forensic evidence. It's all sent out to Target. It's all divvied out, and I just find it fucking hysterical.
Well, in Tennessee, we use Walmart.
Yeah, beggars can't be choosers.
That's a lie.
No, but I bet you they do in Arkansas.
Oh, good. We're getting shit on Arkansas. All right.
All right.
Walmart's based there.
Where's Wandering when
Yeah.
you need him?
Do
Never
we
mind,
ever
he should-
need him though?
No, not really. But he's slightly entertaining. So
That's true.
The
Yes.
FBI is it kind of just gets saddled with everything because they do have such generous funding, but they're not really anything that is like they don't do because of the treasury. They don't do money laundering. That's the treasury. Check fraud, treasury. Anything having to do with cash is the treasury. Even though they're constantly the FBI is trying to bust somebody in a banking role, that's still the treasury. So they do have the FBI does have probably the most degrees out of any law enforcement entity that is around, including the State Department. But you know they've got a lot of businessmen, lawyers, a lot of lawyers, and then CPAs and stock managers and things like that to work their different angles that they have available to them. But more or less, they're just entities that get in the way with their smugness, arrogance, and mostly just give press conferences. Poorly done at that.
They do kidnappings. They do murder on federal grounds. You know, if it's related to any other killing elsewhere, so that supersedes local jurisdictions for those.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right.
National
the rest
parks.
of any national, and the government is so sequestered as far as you're right, because Treasury does anything to do with counterfeiting or money or fraud. I guess the FBI is involved in fraud too because they do the investigative services. The Secret Service does, well, that would be the Treasury.
Yep.
The ATF does alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And
the ATF is just glorified taxman guns.
Yeah, but are they
Yeah.
wholly separate than the FBI, or are they
Yes.
just part of the FBI?
No, they're separate.
Well, it's all
agencies.
Homeland Security now. So it's all Homeland Security.
That's true.
So they're all under the umbrella of Umbrella Corp. .gov.
Make sure you do .gov. When I was in high school, we it was the brand new computer class. It was the first computer class of its kind, and they're like, "Well, today we're going to figure out how to do passports. Go to whitehouse.com and see what you can dig up in 20 minutes." Pull up whitehouse.com and reminded everybody that it is whitehouse.gov because whitehouse.com is a porn site.
True story.
Yes.
It is a true story. So
with this day and age, you need to take a look at what you have available to you, and do you really need this group? Like, do you need a group of federal agents who are either start at the first crime scene, so they're from, say, Miami, but they're trailing drugs from Miami all the way up to up 75 to Michigan. So then is it the same agency that's doing both work, or is it a local FBI in Florida traveling up to Michigan to find it? Like, can't you just agree to work with the Michigan cops to trade nowadays? You know, you're not running through an operator asking for them to deliver you to Klondike 321. You know, you should be able to just put all the information you have available into a database and all be able to work from the same database. You don't need a bureau that's just as hapless as every other group,
Well-
screwing things up.
Well, and there again, the FBI can't even communicate its information amongst itself. I mean, that was proven last Wednesday. They had all the information they needed on this guy and couldn't pass it to the local office to even check up on.
And before that, it was the military that wasn't communicating with the FBI for the church shooting.
Oh, in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There's that one too.
So 26 dead because of that non-interagency cooperation. 17 dead because of departments within the same agency not cooperating.
17 years ago, the whole reason that everything was put under the Homeland Security umbrella is so that these agencies would communicate this information with each other. 2 decades later, nothing is coming of it.
I'm sure there's a couple of liaisons who are supposed to be doing something that they aren't.
Yeah. How much are they getting paid? Because I need that job.
Probably close to 70 grand.
Right. I need that job with the fat government pension and to be, no accountability. That's the job I need.
Yeah. And if you're close enough to your 20, you can screw up with the president and still get put on a side job where you don't do anything to get your last 7 months out of office before you can collect your 20. McCabe.
Is that McCabe or is that Schrock or what the hell is his name? The one that was having the affair.
Both, but I was talking about McCabe.
Stroke or what the hell is that agent's name?
One was, don't ask me to spell it. That's for damn sure. I'll go with Strock.
Okay, so I've got it right. Strock and Page were the ones who were kibitzing about, fixing shit for Hillary. And McCabe was their boss.
I am so furious right now. Literally shaking. Hillary did not win.
Yeah.
Did she say that? Or did he?
He did. Like, she had to leave because of like a headache or something. She's like, I can't text right now. I have a headache.
Yeah, well, when all your hard work goes down the tubes, well, I guess you're allowed to be a bitch.
Oh, good fucking God. It's just a travesty of what's happening here. And it's American citizens who are paying the price.
Right. It's never the people that actually do the dirty shit. They're fine. They're taken care of.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I get called a racist and a sexist and a homophobe and a Islamophobe and, all of that.
That's weird. I get called those things too, but I am one.
Of most of those things. And why is everything a phobe? Well, that's getting off topic, but whatever. That's
it's so off topic. Let's do it.
No. No.
God
Let's
damn it,
keep this
Jay.
neat and clean. Stay on target.
Stay on target.
Stay on target.
See,
Yeah.
that's topical. There you go.
So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it seems like the FBI, it largely depends on definitely who's running it and who targets who and what gets investigated and everything else, depending on the political swings. I mean, you can go back to the 50s and look at Hoover and McCarthy and all that stuff.
Well, let's talk about J. Edgar, because J. Edgar's a basket case too, and he was in charge of the thing from the 20s through the 70s. 50 goddamn years. That man was in charge of that thing.
Yep.
And he wielded it like a that's fine. They bark. He wielded it like a goddamn sword.
A sword hammer. Just wrecking shit.
Well, we can't say hammer because he was so anti-communist that he couldn't have a hammer. He actually had to use a double-honed axe to hammer his shit in.
Like a family axe? Oh, sorry.
A family axe, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
For all
that
of
women's dresses.
Yeah, exactly. For all the talk of McCarthy and McCarthyism and this, that, and the other thing, he never prosecuted anybody. He never got a win in his category.
No.
But you look at today, and You go on Twitter, and I can have a fight, and within 5 minutes, I got a shitty communist throwing propaganda at me from the Young Turks. It's like, well,
Oh, I know.
maybe McCarthy wasn't that wrong.
Yeah. He got shot down. Oh, there's no commies in Hollywood. There's no commies in the United States. No. A few years later, the people must rise for revolution.
Yeah.
Well, you see that they decriminalized. Well, I shouldn't say decriminalized. They had a law in California where if you're
I know.
the Communist Party wasn't allowed to run in elections, and I think they just did away with that.
They did.
Mhm.
Well, they can work. They can now work for government. They can now work for local and state government.
That's
I
ridiculous.
think is what it was. Oh, it is fucking ridiculous. It's for goddamn ridiculous.
I mean, just stay in your socialist bucket, for God's sakes. We know you're all goddamn commies anyway. Just don't, go into hiding. Go back in the closet.
Yeah. Be a closet socialist. Don't bring that shit out. Ugh.
Well, the thing that scares me is that it's exceedingly popular, especially with the youth.
Well, that's because they're idiots and they don't understand.
Well, I mean, you give it to Churchill. If you're not a liberal when you're 20, you don't have a heart, and if you're not a conservative by the time you're 40, then you don't have a brain. The problem is that the attention spans of people are so short; they only focus on the first half of that saying.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm turning 33 this year, and I'm a conservative, so I guess I don't have a fucking heart. Which is not true. It's there. It's covered in rock and everything else. One might say a heart of stone. But, yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry. I'm just rambling.
Heart of stone. I unfortunately didn't get the to be a liberal myself because my parents died when I was young enough that I got saddled with the responsibilities of paying all the bills for a household when I was still young. So I never had a heart.
Yeah, Jay,
But,
I'm not gonna lie. If you were an SJW, I'd probably punch you.
You could try.
Yeah, I could try.
It'd still whip your ass. No,
Yeah, probably.
The issue I have with this, like this, who's this chick that's come out with a shaved head? Did anybody else have a shaved headed chick in their high school?
Yeah, I did. But it was the extreme fringe back then.
No.
Like only the hardcore punks were doing it. And
I mean, I saw a couple Chelseas.
They had some on that were like, they would keep some hair up for the Liberty spikes or something like that. But
I didn't have. Well, we had one girl who had no hair, but that was leukemia. So
I mean,
it doesn't technically count.
That doesn't count. It was not intentional. Yeah. She probably didn't want to shave. I don't remember any chicks in my high school, but granted, my graduating class was like 40 people, so that's not a very large selection to pull from.
Oh, I had like 220.
Yeah, you and your fancy people with your big high school classes.
Yeah, I had an exceedingly large high school class.
Yeah, not me. Grew up in the country.
Wish I did.
It was pretty.
You know what it's
awesome.
like to get detention from your mama teacher?
Yeah.
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 Didn't show up for school one day. I got suspension and grounded.
Yeah.
Same person.
Yeah.
I think it's Emma Gonzalez is her name. People are posting on Twitter just that Trump apparently made a comment to her or about her. So when you Google Emma Gonzalez, his name is the first on the list because he's got the most followers. Like, what the hell is this?
I must do this.
Funny. Yeah. But just some of these people with their canned responses and
Oh,
Like, she
Google's already
says-
fixed that.
Oh,
nice.
and how fast it happened this time. The anti-gun narrative started while the shooting was still active.
Oh, I know. I know. It's absolutely insane.
And they are going hard and heavy with it this time.
Oh,
You didn't hear a peep about the shooting 2 weeks ago. It almost didn't even make the news.
I know. And I mean, and I think a large, like I was telling Jay last night, I think a large part of this has to do with the crumbling narrative. They're lashing out and they're grasping at straws, and they're just really trying to grasp at something that will make it seem like it's going to be okay, but it's not. It just makes them look unhinged. At least in my eyes, it makes them look very unhinged.
Well, I mean, I understand the emotional response.
Oh,
and
believe me, I do too.
the thinking of that trying anything at this point is better than doing nothing. The wrong, of course, because it's purely emotional, but I get it. And
Yeah.
I don't want to be completely unsympathetic to that. But the fact that they cannot even accept the argument that the reason school shootings happen is because schools are known to be soft targets because they are gun-free zones. So weak, cowardly shooters are going to prey upon a known weakness to affect their outcomes. But I brought that up in a conversation with one of these, well, actually 3 of these ban all guns now drum bangers, and they couldn't even accept that part of the discussion. It was, no, everything has to be banned, it has to be removed, it has to be confiscated, and it has to be done yesterday.
Right.
And they are not entertaining anything else.
Right.
Big Red, do you remember the guy who, after the Las Vegas shooting happened, he, what I assume was, bought a pistol and rifle just to turn them in? He's like, I don't need this assault rifle anymore, and it was like a Ruger 1022 that had been mocked up.
Yeah, it was
What
a
was the
Ruger
pistol?
It was like it was a Walther, I think. It was like a PK 380. When I first saw that, I sent it to Matt, and I was like, "Yeah, this is bogus bullshit. You could buy you could buy that 1022 used for about $150. You could buy that PK 380 if you shopped right. You could find it for under $200. Brand new, they're about $330."
Mm-hmm.
And Matt's like, well, Matt was telling me, he's like, I don't see somebody going out and buying new. I was like, to push a narrative, if they're committed enough, they'll do it.
Mm-hmm. And
hell, you just go to a gun show and pick up, a couple of guns for $200 and do the same thing.
Oh,
I could have
wish.
pawn
You can't
shop
do that anymore.
that for $400 total.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the virtue signaling was out of this world. And then we had a guy recently. What were you saying earlier?
Oh yeah, there was a guy that took his AR-15 that he supposedly owned for 30 years, and it looks like an older model Colt, possibly an SP1, that he took a chop saw to it and just completely cut it in half. Now, granted, if he just cut it at the barrel, that's easily fixable. You just put another barrel on it. But if you cut it right through the receiver and the upper and the bolt carrier group, then it's pretty much destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, okay, so your rifle sat there for 30 years. It didn't do anything. You took it out and shot it occasionally, but now you have to destroy it because somebody else committed a vile act.
Well, I'm not even that upset by that because it's his property. He can do with it what he
Right.
wants.
It is his property, but it's the message that it conveys.
Yeah, it's a giant circle jerking virtue signal, but
Yeah. And he was a boomer. He was a baby boomer.
I mean, you
Plus,
can
it's
do
a
it. Like I
cult.
said, you can do what you want with it. That doesn't bug me. But if you think that actually did anything to stop anything further from happening, you're out of your goddamn mind.
Yeah. Well, these people think that, I'm a hardcore Second Amendment guy, but you know what? If I can see what dangerous things these are, And I guarantee you that tattoo was so illegible. It was not a Second Amendment tattoo. I guarantee it.
And you get
Oh,
that in
even if it-
prison?
Well, even if it was, he probably got it when he was 18 to 20.
Probably in the Marines or something along those
Probably.
lines.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it's I can't convey into words how frustrating it is. You just see these people and it's just like, don't you have anything better to do?
Well, that goes to while we're talking about the military real quick, the Marines for special forces work, they've lowered their qualifications to get females into special forces and whatnot, which makes me ask the question: were the minimum qualifications, were those a necessary obstacle, or are you saying that they were necessary and you're no longer adhering to them because you need your mixed groups? So
Yep.
so which one is it? Is it these were a necessary qualification to make sure you could do the job that needed to get done, or they were absolutely not necessary and just made up for the fun of it?
I'm going to go with the first one.
Yeah, which is it?
Well, that's another part of the argument I got into with these drum bangers today. One of them posted the statistic that like the NYPD only has an accurate hit rate of like 18% of the things that they shoot at.
Excuse me.
That was their argument for like, well, if the NYPD can only hit 18% of what they're shooting at, why would you think that arming teachers would help? I'm like, well, number one, that's really an argument for Bill de Blasio to get off of his ass and get his freaking cops trained how to shoot and raise your standard, not lower it.
Yeah. They got to be able to qualify.
Yeah,
the problem is
when I came down to...
No, go ahead, Jay.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say,
No,
they need to qualify. They got to have, due to the amount of the people that they are trying to protect, I would say that the teachers need to be very proficient in using a firearm. I think that there needs to be qualifications on that. Now, can they own
would agree.
it? Yeah.
But I'm talking cops. I'm talking NYPD badge carrying, gun carrying cops are only hitting 18%.
Well, you got to realize too, look at the fact of, look how hard it is to actually legally carry a firearm in New York.
But these are cops that have to do it as a matter of course for their job.
Yeah, but have you seen a lot of New York cops?
No, I totally agree. But the thing is, I think the New York PD is the largest armed force besides the U.S. military in the country. I think by sheer numbers, they've got more officers than any other single unit. But if they're hitting 18%, they need to do nothing but range time.
Oh yeah,
shifts for the next year.
Yeah, that hit ratio, that percentage, that's up there with a fucking stormtrooper. I'm just saying. They need to definitely, drill. I'm not the best pistol shot, but you know what? I work on it, and I try to be more accurate. Sorry, my dog is really going off.
Largest police force in the world, NYPD, with approximately 40,000 sworn officers.
Jesus, that's huge.
40,000?
Yeah, 40,000.
Hang on a second. Jeez. There we go.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's an insane amount of cops. And that's an insanely low percentage. And then I had some of these drum bangers are saying, well, that's higher than the U.S. Marine Corps. I'm like, if that's higher than the U.S. Marine Corps, then the U.S. Marine Corps is failing.
Nigeria has the country of Nigeria has 174 million people, seventh largest country in the world. The entire country has 371,000 officers. So a tenth of New York City.
I want to go back to Sean's Marine comment
Jeez.
about the accuracy.
Okay.
I find that highly scrutable.
Yeah,
Considering
I
the
would
fact
agree.
that you know,
I think they were
I
blowing bullshit.
yeah, I would say they're blowing bullshit. I
Hmm.
mean, you are a rifleman first, and
Exactly. And everyone is a rifleman.
yeah,
Yeah.
Every
exactly.
Marine a rifleman, every rifleman a Marine.
Yep.
When I was when I came to Tennessee, I got my my armed guard license to be an armed guard, and I shot a 97 as my score. So yeah. 20 bullets at 3 yards, 20 bullets at 10 yards, 10 bullets at 21
20
yards.
yards. Yeah.
20, yeah. At 21 yards. So that's close to 70 feet. But
That's a long distance for a pistol.
it is. It is a nonsensical long distance. Considering for any type of realistic interaction, it's 21 feet. That's 7 yards. But within 21 feet, if a guy who has a knife out starts running at you, the time it takes for you to fire is approximately the same amount of time it takes for him to run the 21 feet and plunge the knife into your chest or stab you. But I had 2 Border Patrol agents, a former FBI, and a park ranger, and a few other different like former military guys. I was the only one who hadn't served in some sort of federal capacity. I had the best score in the class, and it was just you had to get within the 8 ring.
Good Lord.
So 8, 9, and 0. It's not even a huge deal. Like it's almost harder to miss at 9 feet than it is to hit.
You can practically put the barrel on the target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was a little embarrassed to have a miss that I did. It's like, oh, that's embarrassing. And then to come to find out that 2 guys had to retake it was like, what, you guys don't sleep with your guns? What's going on here? It's not a hard qualification to make. So when a Marine is shooting at 600 yards, they're not actually shooting at the target. They're shooting at a patch that's torn up in the ground and bouncing it into the target. That's it's just a gun, people. And for everyone who says guns are too easy to get, the reason there are knife deaths, hammer deaths, car deaths is because that person didn't have a gun available at the time. Otherwise, you use the gun, which is a distance weapon meant to kill. So, yeah, we have 30,000 deaths a year, but if you really look at it, half those, a third of those, suicides.
19,000.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk
19,000.
about that for a second, because that is really the only compelling argument that I ever get out of these anti-gun nuts, is that their reasoning is if guns were harder to get or less available, suicide rates would go down, which is hard
No,
to
they
argue
wouldn't.
against. Well, no, they would, because the gun is an absolutely successful way of committing. Well, not absolutely, but it is the most successful way to commit suicide. Whereas if you slit your wrists or OD on pills or, try to brutally cut your own head off or something like that, you're likely to fail the attempt and live.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that, but yet at the same time, if somebody's committed to, offing themselves, they're going to find a way. Doesn't matter what they're going to do. They're going to find a way.
I would agree with you, but I think, and this is also, I think, a fairly valid assumption and argument to make, that people who are suicidal are only momentarily weak in their suicidal thoughts. The ones that are absolutely going to do it are absolutely going to do it. I think you can write those off. But what percentage of those people are just momentarily weak and make a bad choice?
Right.
And if you can save them, that's good. So, I mean, that is the only most compelling argument that I'm getting out of these guys that would make a gun ban or whatever worthwhile. But I still fall down on the side of it doesn't matter if you make them hard to get from a legal provider today. There are so many in the environment already that you're never going to get rid of that it's going to be almost completely ineffectual to do any sort of banning.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, look, they banned drugs and everything else. Murder is illegal, and yet it still happens. I know that that's a simplified trope, but I mean, it's true.
Right.
I mean,
laws
people are
do
going to
not prevent crime.
right.
They just prescribe what happens after the crime happens.
Exactly. And people just, they don't understand that. And I think it's honestly willful ignorance. They don't want to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what
I think everybody's capitalizing on the feelings of the tragedy that just happened, because it's a tragedy and it's terrible, and you should feel terrible about it.
Yeah.
But you need to channel that rage into where it matters. And where it matters, back on topic, is that the FBI dropped the goddamn ball.
Yep. FBI dropped the ball. The school officials dropped the ball. There was so many fucking warning signs on this kid. To hear like some of those kids say, yeah, we weren't surprised it's him.
He had a "but I sell drugs in the community" moment where he said, I am going to be a professional school shooter.
Yeah. Which, by the way, nobody gets paid for that.
That's true. Well, he might if he sells his story.
And we're not going to go over my horrible joke last night that was really kind of very macabre, but yet so funny.
Oh, do tell.
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to say this. I'm going to get the FBI called on me.
That's my stream.
I'm not using my real name, so the FBI more than likely will find me. I told Jay that I wanted to go shooting this weekend, but I couldn't because all the schools were closed. So, I mean, rough. Yeah, it's a rough joke. It's a rough joke, but hey, that's gallows humor. That's
right.
I like
it's funny because of the absurdity of it, even though the reality could be there.
Exactly.
But, yeah. Well, and so one of these anti-gun drum bangers was talking about 30-round magazines. Why do you need 30-round magazines to hunt? Because you're afraid the deer are going to return fire? I said, no, the 30-round magazines were for school shootings, like Kent State. And he shut up pretty quick on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was for, defense against tyranny, whether people want to realize it or not. Hey, standard capacity is standard capacity. They may not like the capacity. It doesn't matter. Do you want me to get a pinfire revolver that holds 32 rounds? It's a revolver, but it holds 32 rounds. It's an anemic cartridge, but it still holds 32 rounds. Capacity doesn't necessarily matter. It's about accuracy. It's about hitting the target and actually whether or not you're able to implement a fatal wound.
And literally, the 223, the 5.56, isn't meant to kill.
It's designed to wound.
It's designed to wound. That is why our military uses it. If you shoot a soldier dead, that's one death. If you wound a soldier so that he can't fight any longer, it takes 2 other soldiers to get him off the battlefield. That is why we don't use a 30 caliber round that is meant to kill. And that is why, to date, we won every war we've been in.
Okay.
In all
wait a
actuality,
minute. Hang on. If that's the case, why are these kids dying in the schools? It wouldn't be so much that the response is taking too long to lock down these shooters. It's that we don't have any fucking field medics.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Maybe maybe these teachers. Yeah, maybe these teachers who that do not want to be trained to carry a gun and do not want to shoot. That's fine. I understand that. You shouldn't be forced to have to do that. But if you're not going to carry a gun, you need to carry a med pack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You need medical
And
training.
you need to
Individual
know how
first
to
aid
use
kit.
it. Absolutely.
I've got advanced first aid training just as a security guard, and I don't plan on putting my mouth on anybody during that time. You know, that was not something I wanted to do. Is like, do we have mouth shields? Because everybody's gross here.
Yeah. I mean, you know, with what we were discussing, I mean, you know, so the question, here's my big thing. I mean, you know, we talk about putting armed security into schools, and I brought this question up to Jay. So, do we allow long arms, shotguns, rifles? Honestly, I would prefer something like a rifle to be stored under lock and key at a school, because then you run into the issue of kids wanting to break into that to steal the weapons. But I suppose if you keep it under a heavy enough lock and key, they're not going to get into it.
No, see, the kids are resilient, and they do get into shit that they're not supposed to get into, just
Right.
by nature of being, pig ignorant children.
Yeah.
But
And then you get into storing of ammo in one place and gun in another place and
Right.
key locks.
every step of that means the efficacy is dropping off horribly.
Exponentially, yeah. But you know what? What do we have a year in school deaths? Like, is there going to be another shooting this year? Maybe. Maybe the casualties will be twice as much. We go from 17 to 34.
Well, if you go by every town, I mean, there's going to be at least 20 more by the end of 2018.
Well, there's already been 18 school shootings.
Yeah, like I said, if you go by every town, I mean, there's going to be at least 20 to 30 more. So.
Well, yes, we're probably going to have more school shootings this year. I think we can just chalk that up to fact. But what's interesting is in 2017, we didn't have a whole lot.
No.
And that goes
You're
unreported.
welcome. Thank you, Trump.
Exactly. That goes completely unreported.
I don't know if he had anything to do with it or not. And at the presidency, I said, you know what? I'll shoot some shit up. Said Eric Harris.
Crazy.
But
crazy.
8 kids die a day in car accidents. 8 teenagers a day die in car accidents.
Yep.
That's 5,000 a year.
Well, see, Jay, right there, here's the problem. Those kids are driving a vehicle. We can't blame the auto manufacturers. They're taking their own responsibility. It's not necessarily it's an individual using a tool or device to kill people, take lives. So,
there's another thing. What was the gal's name that died in San Francisco because the illegal alien found the gun?
Supposedly, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Katie Steinle.
Katie Steinle.
Kylie Steinle.
So Katie Steinle died, but it wasn't it wasn't the fault of the gun then. There was no There was no rampant drum beating to ban guns when an illegal alien shot Katie on the pier.
Isn't that another FBI fuck up too?
Yes.
No, it was a park ranger.
Was a federal
gun.
Was it a park ranger?
It was a park ranger.
Agent.
Yeah, it was a federal agent, but yeah, it was parks and park services or something like that. Supposedly,
so if FBI wanted to, if nobody had guns, that gun still would have been there and still would have been used.
Right.
Because it would have been a park ranger who is licensed and legal to carry, no matter what, that gun was used. But
yeah, and then when
last
cops
2 years,
people, it's never the gun's fault when the cop shoots of somebody.
Right. It's bad training.
That's the killer argument here.
I know.
Is the same people who want to take your gun from you, and I'm going to talk about this more tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this tomorrow, Jay.
Since the 3 of us here, the last year shooting in the church, the guy had dishonorably discharged and was a wackadoodle. This guy was fucking bug nuts crazy, thinking professional school shooter is a thing, and called on his house 36 times.
Yeah.
Get on his own list, Bernie? No, but he definitely should have had some because when you get police called to your house 36 times, you're probably some sort of crazy. You are not effectively managing your life. in
Well,
a
and I can't seem to get an answer to the
fucking
question of whether or
wackadoodle
not he had a
capacity.
father in the house.
No, he did not. His father died when he was younger, and his mother. This happened shortly after his mother passed away too.
No. The kid was orphaned. His
Yeah.
adopted mother died.
Oh, was it his adoptive?
He was orphaned. He got adopted. She's the one who died of pneumonia.
Yeah. Okay.
Pneumonia or whatever it was. Yeah, so that's a whole other level of fucked in the head.
Yep.
So yeah, so he had. So what age was he orphaned?
I think it was just recently that his adoptive mother died, but I don't know what age he was when he was orphaned.
And we have no idea of how he was treated as an adopted kid in that house.
Oh, I'm sure he was. I think he went to several foster homes because he was a problematic kid.
Oh, Jesus.
And I hate that fucking word too.
No,
I hate problematic.
But I hate the word problematic as well. But when it applies to a kid who's, especially in states.
No, don't blame the word. Don't blame the word. Blame the action. Problematic's a perfectly fine word. It's just the way it's used.
Yeah, the kid never got the help he needed from jump.
Right.
And that's as sympathetic as I'm going to get to this piece of shit.
Yeah.
I tweeted the other day, like I'm sick of these lefties who are think of the children when to date we've lost 55.5 million children to abortion.
Yeah.
Now, statistically speaking, at some point in the near future, we've probably lost the first female black president.
Yeah.
Because
Probably,
it's statistically it's black children. And if you look at the last black president we had, or the one before that, so that's Clinton and Obama, they were both born to normal families, supposedly.
I still crack up at the Clinton thing.
The woman carries hot sauce in her purse. That's as black as you're going to get for a first lady.
Yeah.
So
hot sauce.
Yeah, man, and just the Obama administration in general. I think the icing, the topping, the cherry on top of everything is these presidential portraits. They put somebody in simply because they're black, and they screwed everything up. That's the topping. That's the Obama legacy in total.
Yep.
Is they went with something different, and it got screwed up, and they're not to blame for it.
Right.
Like, oh, when was Wendy Williams our first lady? Because that's what it's looking like.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's so much that went wrong on this. Large portion of it does fall blame to the FBI. It falls blame on local sheriff's office for not.
Hey,
doing
Big Red.
anything. What?
9 p.m. 9 p.m. your time. 9 p.m. Eastern time.
9
He's got
p.m. My time.
45 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 45 minutes. We're good.
Sure.
I appreciate it though. Thank you, Jay.
Didn't interrupt your date.
Hey, you're just jealous. It's okay.
Fag.
Your time's tomorrow.
No, I don't do hangouts, or I don't do that hangout.
I know. I'm talking about between me and you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, go on with your topic. Whatever boring shit you were gonna say. Go ahead and say it.
I can't even remember. That train of thought got lost somewhere between here and New Mexico. Shit, what was I talking about?
New Mexico. Should have taken a left at Albuquerque.
But no, yeah. The blame definitely rests on local law enforcement in that aspect because they visited his house. How many times, Jay?
37 in total.
And that is a drop ball.
Yeah, he should have been on their radar prior to this anyway.
Mm-hmm. Again, cops visited my house a lot as a kid because my older brothers
were you the
idiots.
one in trouble?
No, but that's simply saying, was visited 36 times for this kid. So that's a huge issue.
Okay, Okay, so what's to be done about this former FBI agent's son, who was a member at the school, going off and doing all these press conferences? Because he's obviously selling a narrative, a prepackaged narrative.
Oh
at
yeah,
that.
yeah. He's definitely selling something. But
It's almost like they who was groomed for this opportunity to happen, and that's getting a little bit tinfoily because I don't think that's the case. But my God, is it convenient as fuck?
I mean, how far down the rabbit hole do we want to go? That's the question.
Well, I
No,
mean, as
'cause-
far as the truth can
No.
take you.
I don't know. I got a buddy, Macoptera. You guys know Macoptera. He's the son of a judge. So I did 4 years of schooling in criminal justice. And when he references cases back, and I'm like, well, yeah, then you are correct there. That is the case that was the founding case in this for this precedent. He nails them just off the top of his head. I mean, he's a brilliant. He's not listening, so I can say these sorts of things. Fuck you, Macoptera. But he, that's dinner talk at his place. Is that sort of thing. So this kid to have these fully loaded arguments, because that's the dinner talk at his house. That's an FBI agent's son who is completely anti-gun and leans in an unconstitutional direction because that's how his father, a upholder of the Constitution, views his life, and that's what he talks about at dinner table.
Okay, so what that speaks to is a distrust of the rank and file, just average citizenry. And I think that's because if you're a cop for too long, you get jaded because you're only dealing with the seedier segments of society.
No joke. I had a
that.
criminal justice class where the police, it said in the book, the police separate you into two categories. You're either a cop or an asshole. And that's verbatim from the book. I'm like, hey guys, did you see on page 106 it says asshole?
What? That's in our curriculum?
Yeah,
I can confirm that. I mean, even my buddies who are cops sometimes have a hard time calling out other cops for what is obviously misbehavior.
Mm-hmm.
Gross misbehavior. Yeah.
It's more than just the blue flu, but even in the military, everyone joins the military. You're all a band of brothers, except for those fucking MPs. Those bastards will get you. And it's the same thing with the closest and tightest knit group within the police department is internal affairs, because they're alienated from the police department as whole because they're the guys who investigate the guys. Those are the watchers watching the watchers. And the same thing happens with MPs, the military police. So in a general citizenry, we have a distaste for the police. I personally don't, because I don't break the law.
Same here.
I'm wary of cops just because of that group-like behavior and the distinction between us and them that they have to have as a matter of course for their job.
Right.
Well, and I don't begrudge it. Also,
it depends.
Helps keep them safe.
I think Clifford and I have a little bit of a different view because you live in a big city and we live in smaller cities.
Right.
So my local cops, they're local.
Yeah.
The cops in your neighborhood might not be from your neighborhood, but the cops in my neighborhood live in my neighborhood.
Yep.
So when they pull over Miss Smith for doing 10 over, they have to sit a row, 2 pews back from Miss Smith on Sunday and suffer the stink eye for that whole weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Can't have potato salad because they pulled over Mrs. Smith this week at that pot roast is that potluck is gonna be a little bit awkward this week.
Yeah.
So they have less of an opportunity to be the dicks and the inclusive because they have to interact with the community on a more closer level. Now, in New York, you have to live within a certain area, but in Wayne County, where I used to live, you had to live in Wayne County to be like Detroit. You had to live within Detroit, but they still had like 24 precincts. So you didn't have to live within the precinct. You just had to live within the city. And usually it was like a half hour or something like that. But if you're a Kingston cop, you live in Kingston. If you're a Knoxville cop, you live in Knoxville. So these cops have to be a part of the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you're right. The cops in a bigger city like here interact with a different level of dirtbag than you're likely to run into in a more rural area.
Right.
And they only almost exclusively interact with those types of people in the bigger city, whereas they don't run into the church going folk that may have, done something modestly wrong every now and then.
And it's not that Jay may agree with me on this, and it's not that I'm saying, it's not that we're saying that, or at least that, not what I'm saying is that, all the, the rural cops, they're good people and everything. That's not always the case. Sometimes you do get a little bit of a good old boy mentality, and they don't always divvy out things fairly the way it should be under the law. And I mean, you're going to run into that.
Best argument for RoboCop.
Yeah, kind of is. But do you really want to end up with that gruesome death at the end of the first one, where the guy fell in the toxic chemicals? I don't think so. I don't want to end up with that.
You're thinking Batman.
No. In the first RoboCop, there was a guy that ended up in toxic chemicals, and he got hit by a car and exploded.
Red Foreman.
Red Foreman?
It was Red Foreman.
With their full auto 50 cals?
Yeah. Yeah. God, what was the name of the fucking car? I remember the TV show.
I'll buy that for $1.
I'll buy that for $1.
Great movie.
Yeah.
The remake, not so much, but the first one was a great movie.
Oh yeah.
They took out all the grittiness from it. Like,
Well,
we're gonna make this even grittier. I'm like, no, you didn't.
It was tongue-in-cheek satire, the first one, and it just complete miss on the people who remade it.
What's funny is like RoboCop and came out a couple years after like Die Hard. Die Hard, the gas prices are like 97 cents a gallon. RoboCop, they're fucking $5.50 a gallon. It's like,
yeah.
Oh man, this is my future.
Yep. Jeez. But anyway, yeah. I mean, you do have your problems out in rural areas. You get people that know the police, and they'll let people off that do some stupid shit. And it is a bit infuriating. So it's good and bad. You've got pros and cons everywhere you go. So I don't know.
It just I feel like the FBI is not living up to its reputation, let alone what it needs to be doing in society.
No.
And that's local cops aside. They dropped the ball on this. They're proven that their higher ups are corruptible in as far as working for a political side, or one political side or the other.
Well, and I think also part of the problem too is you've got people that are appointed head of FBI director that have never even been in the FBI, and I think that is part of the problem. Comey wasn't. If I remember correctly, he wasn't in the FBI, was he?
Where did he come from? I thought. Where did he go? I thought Comey was the one that was. I thought he was the one who was the rank and file investigative officer, and it was McCabe that was the one who just came
Not
from
that I'm
elsewhere.
aware of.
James Comey is an American lawyer.
Who served as
director?
Yeah.
Seventh director of the Federal Bureau of Investigations. Loading, dismissal. Before that,
he was an attorney general, and he was a United States attorney for the Southern District of New York.
So lawyer. 2005 U.S. Department of Justice, became general counsel. In 2005, Comey left the U.S. Department of Justice and became the general counsel for Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
And he was general counsel for Bridgewater Associates. And then he became the director of the FBI. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Great.
I think there needs to be requirements for certain positions held. You know, I mean, if you want to, you know, be director of the FBI, I think you should probably get an agent that's been with the FBI. I could be wrong.
Oh, and here we go.
I don't-
We got Mueller here.
Yeah, what
He
was
was,
Mueller was ever an agent?
He was the 6th director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation from September 4th, 2001 to September 4th, 2013. Appointed under Bush, extended under Obama, but prior to that, he was the U.S. Attorney for the District, the Northern District of California. Before that, he was the U.S. Attorney General for Criminal Division. Before that, he was the United States Attorney for the District of Massachusetts. So again, not an FBI guy, just a freaking lawyer. But he was a Marine, and he won the Bronze Star for combat. Got a Purple Heart.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing with, you know, Bush Senior. I mean, he was. Shut up. He was.
He was
I mean, he
CIA
was
director.
Yeah, he was a CIA director. You know what he did before that?
I know what he did he was in Dallas for the shooting of Kennedy, and doesn't remember where he was that day.
Yeah,
The only person in the country.
I know he was a fighter pilot in World War II.
Well, let me see. Here's his.
I know his daddy was the founding treasurer of Planned Parenthood.
Here's his repertoire. He was U.S. House of Representatives from Texas 7th District from 67 to 71. United States Ambassador to the United States, to the United Nations, not United States, but from 71 to 73. Chair of the the RNC. And this was before his CIA intelligence. Chief of the U.S. Liaison Office to the People's Republic of China. And then he goes up to Director of CIA. Come on.
Vice President.
Well, no, that's a weird jump.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really weird jump.
Yup.
Because he was CIA the whole time.
Yeah, he was probably company the whole way through. Probably right after
Anderson
the war.
Cooper.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Anderson
know.
Cooper was in my high school on a show called Channel 1. He was a college student at the time, doing journalism for his college class or whatever. And he had a show that was shown to the students of my school, and it was called Channel 1. Also there, Lisa Ling. Also there, Sway. Yeah, all of them, shadiest fucking people on the planet, man.
There's definitely a connected cabal of people that seem to roll in the same circles all around the government, isn't there?
Yeah, Anderson Cooper. Oh, what Anderson Cooper is he? Oh, that's right. He's Jewish.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a Rothschild.
I knew he had a famous parent, didn't he?
Yeah,
His
but
mom,
she
I
was.
think.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the JQ because I mainly don't. I think a lot of it's malarkey, but there's just enough there to keep everybody entertained and on the hook.
Says you.
Yep, says me. It's my channel.
And we're gonna say
do
that
what I want.
Yeah. Tomorrow we'll get into the JQ though. Yeah, he's always been that hair color, Stephen. He was 23 when I was in high school. He still had that hair color.
Jeez. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, this is a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
We'll let Doggy get off to his more important engagement for the evening.
Hey now. I view you guys and hold you guys in very high regards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
She was a Vanderbilt, wasn't she?
Who, Cooper? Cooper's mother?
Cooper's
yeah.
mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So Rothschild.
Yeah, he didn't want to have that Vanderbilt last name, but he doesn't mind the Vanderbilt bank account. That's for sure.
Mhm.
He just didn't want to be associated with the name, but he doesn't mind being associated. He doesn't mind having access to the money.
Or the doors that it opens, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
whatever.
What piles of poop?
Yeah, the country is definitely shifting away from the media cabal that has run it for the last 30, 40 years. So that's at least good.
Then we got assholes like Mark Dice who have over 1 million subscribers and says stupid shit every time something happens.
He says it loudly, though.
Yeah,
And
he
chicks
does that.
dig it.
Yeah. Apparently Blonde does.
Yeah, boy,
Yeah.
does she. Wow.
yeah.
So, all right, well, we'll wrap it up here.
this
So,
was-
any last words there, Clifford?
No last words. I hold my peace.
Okay, Jay.
I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing my dogs.
I like your doggies. I'm a good doggy. I'm good. I'll save for tomorrow.
I was gonna say,
It'll be about the Jews.
tune
Yeah,
in for
tomorrow's gonna
round
be
2
fun.
tomorrow on Jay's channel, which has got at least double my subscriber count.
Oh, that's not even 40, bro.
You're right. Triple to quadruple my subscriber count.
I got like I don't know, 120 or something like that.
Are you really up that high now?
Like 5 times.
Damn, I am just
I
a
probably
peon
got
in
more
this
than that.
big old pool.
When's the last time you put something? Was it Platitudes 2?
It was probably the last live stream.
No,
I
it's
did, honestly. But...
it was the last live stream that we did.
All right,
4
well, I'm
months
signing
ago.
off. Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Later.